Shabbat Shalom to all of our congregation this evening. This evening I was due to be in Lviv, in Ukraine. And then tomorrow morning I was due to be in Lutsk. Ruth, who is with us this evening, was due to be with us, and a number of our congregation were going to be over in Ukraine together with our twin communities. And so this evening we welcome you all in Ukraine. Hopefully some of you might have stayed up long enough to be here with us this evening, and I know some are joining us tomorrow for Tot Shabbat and our morning service. We wish you Shabbat Shalom, wherever you are, in Ukraine, in our Czech Republic, which we feel so connected with, all around the UK, and all those who join us for our special Shabbat services during this period of time. We say together, and if you can find at the foot of the page on 69, if you have a Siddur Lev Chadash with you, you'll find the blessing as well if you prefer to use a book. In the spirit of our ancient tradition, which unites and sanctifies the house of Israel in all lands and ages, we welcome the Sabbath by kindling these lights.
We say together,
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
We praise you, eternal God, sovereign of the universe. You sanctify us by your commandments and enjoin us to kindle the Sabbath lights wherever we are.
Happy is the people by whom the Sabbath is sanctified. Happy are those who rejoice in its blessing. For it comes with a message of God's abiding love, as one who brings good tidings and publishes peace.
Nora
together we turn to Lechadodi to welcome in the Sabbath bride.
Lecha lechadodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha lechadodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Shamo v'sacho b'dibar echad ishmianu el hamyochad Adonai echad. Oh, Shamo echad l'shem otiferet v'litila. Lecha lechadodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Likrat Shabbat l'chovane l'chaki himakor haberacha merosh miked nesor sof ma'aseh b'machashava tehila. Lecha lechadodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Hitorari kinga ore, kumi ori, shida beri, kavod Adonai, alayik nigla. Lecha lechadodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Bowie and Shalom, Aterem B'Chalagam B'Simcha, U'B'Tzohala Torchenune Ha'am Segula. Bowie Chala, Lecha lechadodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha lechadodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela.
Baruch hu et Adonai hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai hamavorach le'olam va'ed.
Praise be the one to whom our praise is due. We praise the Eternal One, to whom our praise is due forever.
And together we continue. We praise you, Eternal One, our God, sovereign of the universe, whose word brings on the evening, whose wisdom opens heaven's gates, whose understanding changes times and seasons, and whose will sets the stars in their courses in the sky. You make day and night, rolling light away from darkness, and darkness from light. You make day pass and bring on the night, and separate day from night. You rule the hosts of heaven. We praise you, O God, whose word makes evening fall.
Ahavat olam, et Yisrael, Amecha ahavata, Amcha ahavata. Torah u'mitzvot, Chukim u'mishpatim, Otanu limadeta, Otanu limadeta.
Alkein Adonai Eloheinu b'shofeinu, Tumeinu na'asiyah b'chokecha, v'nismach b'divrei toratecha, u'b'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed. Ki hem hayenu, le'oreg yadeinu, u'vahem nege yoman v'layla, nege yoman v'layla.
Nachavatecha al ta'asu,
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Shem Kavod, Shem Kavod, Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed.
V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha, b'chol levavecha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha. V'hayu hadvarim ha'ele, asher anochi metzavecha hayom al levavecha. V'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam, v'shivtecha b'veitecha, u'v'lechtecha b'derech, u'v'shochbecha u'v'kumecha. U'kshartam le'ot al yadecha, v'hayu letotafot bein einecha, u'chtavtam al mezuzot beitecha, u'v'sharecha.
למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
High above shores and times, I on the shore forever and ever. Moses, my brother, has crossed over to milk honey, that holy land, building Jerusalem. I sing forever on the seashore. I do remember horsemen and horses, waves of passage poured into war, all poured into journey. My unseen brothers have gone over, chariots, deep seas under. I alone stand here, ankle deep, and I sing until the lands sing to each other.
מי כמוך בלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדע בקודש נורא, תהילות אוסף אלה, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד.
ונאמר, כי פדה אדוני את יעקב, וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו. ברוך אתה אדוני, גאל ישראל.
השכיבנו אדוני, אלוהינו לשלום, וחמידנו מלכנו לחיים. השכיבנו אדוני, אלוהינו לשלום, וחמידנו מלכנו לחיים.
Grant, eternal God, that we may lie down in peace, and let us rise up to life renewed. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Guide us with your wise counsel, and for your name's sake be our help. Shield us from sickness and war, from famine and distress, and keep us from wrongdoing. Shelter us in the shadow of your wings, for you are our guardian and deliverer, a gracious and merciful God. Guard our going out and our coming in, that now and always we may have life and peace.
ברוך אתה אדוני, הפורש סוכת שלום, עלינו ועל כל יושבי תבל. שפתי תפתח ופיה כי תקילתך. אדוני שפתי תפתח ופיה כי תקילתך. Eternal God, open up my lips, that my mouth shall declare your praise. Eternal God, open up my lips, that my mouth shall declare your praise.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elokei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim v'Koneh Hakol, v'Zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot, Mevi Geula livnei v'neihem, למען שמו באהבה, מלך חוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. את גיבורה לעולם שדי, מחיה מתים את רבה להושיע, משיבה הרוח ומורידה הגשם, מזריחה השמש ומורידה הטל. לחיות מתים, ברוכה עד שדי, מחיה המתים. קדוש אתה ונורא שמך, ואין לנו אלוה מבלעדיך, ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש. We thank you, O God, for this Sabbath day, which calls us to a closer communion with you. Though you are near to us at all times, you reveal your presence most clearly when we direct our thoughts towards you in worship and meditation. In you, O God, our humanity is exalted. You are our life. From you come its greatness, its power, its beauty. Establish in us, we humbly pray, a devotion to you that shall be firm in all the circumstances of life. May this service renew in our hearts the sense of your presence and bring us peace.
Shamra b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat, l'dorotam berit olam. Beini uvein b'nei Yisrael, Jamil asa Adonai et hashamayim ve'et haaretz uvayom hashvi'i Shabbat
And together, our God and God of our ancestors, may our rest on this day be pleasing in your sight. Sanctify us by your commandments, and make us loyal to your teaching. Satisfy us with your goodness, gladden us with your salvation, and purify our hearts that we may serve you in truth. In your gracious love, Eternal One, let the holiness of your Sabbath enter our hearts, and may all Israel who hallow your name be exalted by its peace. We praise you, Eternal One, for the holiness of the Sabbath.
Eternal God, be gracious to your people Israel, and in your love accept their prayers. May our worship now and always be acceptable in your sight. We praise you, O God, whom alone we worship in reverence.
Modi manachnu lach, שאתה הוא אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו לעולם ועד. צור חיינו מגן אישנו, אתה הוא לדור ודור. נודה לך ונספר תהילתך, על חיינו המסורים בידיך, ועל נשמותינו הבקודות לך, ועל ניסיך שבכל יום עמנו, ועל נפלותיך וטובותיך, שבכל עת ערב ובוקר וצהריים. ברוך אתה אדוני, הטוב שמך, ולך נאה להודות. And in a week when we sorely feel the need for peace, let us read together. Supreme source of peace, grant true and lasting peace to your people Israel. For it is good in your sight that your people Israel and all peoples may be blessed at all times with your gift of peace. We praise you, O God, the source of peace. O my God, guard my tongue from speaking evil, and my lips from telling lies. Even when others curse me, may my soul be silent and humble as the dust to all. Open my heart to your teaching, and make me eager to do your will. Dissuade those who seek to harm me, and let not their plans prevail.
Shalom Bimrama, Shalom Aleinu V'Yakol Yisrael V'Yakol B'nei Adam.
May the Most High source of perfect peace grant peace to us, to all Israel, and to all peoples. We now are delighted that on this first Friday of the month, we are able to follow the tradition of this synagogue by now handing over to Rabbi Dr. Andrew Goldstein, our Emeritus Rabbi, President of Liberal Judaism, and Ruth and my dad.
Shabbat Shalom. Lockdown has left me traveling abroad in my mind. I've been dipping into a wonderful travel book by the master of the genre, Paul Thoreau, The Kingdom of the Sea, an account of his journey round the coast of Great Britain by train and on foot way back in 1983. His descriptions are biting and perceptive and often so funny. And I was following him around Northern Ireland when the news was breaking about the murder of George Floyd in Minneapolis. Of course, Thoreau was in Belfast at the height of the so-called Troubles, and his description of the tribalism between Catholics and Protestants reminded me of the riots, the killings, and the shop torching of those days. He reported a comment by an Ulsterman. The tribalism starts in July with orange parades. The Catholic parades are in August. And then people who are best of friends all the year won't speak to each other. Is it possible to tell them apart, Catholics and Protestants? Thoreau asked. For one thing, the man replied, pointing to his eyes, Catholics' eyes are closer together. The nonsense of it, the irrationality of it, tribalism running so deeply ingrained. One people hating another for long gone reasons that they can't explain. Deeply ingrained. The black filmmaker Spike Lee said on News at 10 this week that racism in America was ingrained from its founding, with the genocide of the indigenous population and then its establishment on the back of the imported African slaves. Prejudice is often founded in ancient history and is so difficult to root out. Starting out on this sermon, I looked up in Cecil Roth's A Jewish Book of Days, and I discovered that on this very day, on June the 5th, a terrible massacre took place in 1768 in Uman, in what is now Ukraine. Then it was a Polish city with a large Jewish population. A ragbag group of rebels called Haidamek, disgruntled with their Polish masters and led by Cossacks, attacked the town. The Poles managed to persuade the Haidamaks that if they let them into the town, they would attack only the Jews. The Jews fled to the synagogue, and the Haidamaks poured in artillery, it seems, and broke down the doors and massacred the Jews. Not an unusual occurrence in those days, or in so many days and years in our history. The Haidamaks then slaughtered the Poles. It said that their custom was to hang a Jew, a Pole, and a dog on a tree to demonstrate those that they hated equally. 2 centuries later, the Nazi Germans invaded Poland with the same list of those they despised, and the Poles were only second to the Jews. I've never heard this story before, but checked it out and it's true. And though I'm not suggesting that the riots in America will end up anything near the situation of the massacre in Uman in 5th of June 1768, it is just another example of the human disaster that comes from long-established, deep-seated prejudices, deep-seated inequalities, allowed to foster with no attempt to mend the curse. And when we see that evil idiot Trump openly stoking the fires, we can only despair, as surely all right-thinking Americans must do. And his use of the Bible and church really did show his contempt for all accepted civic values. But let's escape for a moment from this sad situation, as I invite you to travel again with me back to Uman. It's about a 3 hours drive south of Kiev, and I've been there twice. The first time, it was soon after the end of communism, and I was taken there in a death-defying ride down the motorway. All along the road, there were old ladies and men, though probably they weren't that old, with sacks of potatoes, just waiting for buyers to illegally stop on the motorway to buy. There was great poverty then, as sadly there is now. On the way back at dusk, the car was suddenly driven off the motorway at speed into a forest where men appeared out of the darkness. I really thought I was going to be kidnapped. In fact, they had jerry cans filled with stolen petrol to fill up our car. It was an exciting adventure that ended well. The second time, a decade later, it was with Sharon and with Marla and Stuart Coots. Our shul had already supported one Ukrainian community in Berdichev, but now we were asked to support Uman. It was an intriguing prospect because Uman is one of the world centers for Hasidic pilgrimage. It is the burial place of Rabbi Nachman of Bratslav. But we were told that there was a growing progressive community that needed our support. Devotees of Rabbi Nachman come in their hundreds of thousands to visit his grave there, particularly on Rosh Hashanah. What were the progressive Jews doing in such a hotbed of ultra-Orthodoxy? I could tell you tales about our visit, about the graveside itself, about us stumbling into a mikveh with a chassid clad only in his underpants, but that's not for now. Having toured the sites, we made our way to the building where the reform group met. It was getting dark. It was very cold because it was the week before Hanukkah. We had assumed the group would know nothing about Hanukkah, and we had come to teach them the story and the songs. But we got it completely wrong. For they sat us down for a meal, and then the children and the teenage, and there were many of them, entertained us, sang all the Hanukkah songs and some we didn't know, and told the story, and danced Israeli dances. And I do recall 2 teenagers dressed as if professionals performing ballroom dances for our entertainment. Our prejudice was that emerging from the anti-religious communist era, they would know nothing of their Judaism, and we were there to teach them. We had it all wrong. They were as Jewish as we were. All they craved was Jewish company and contact with the Jewish communities outside of their country. It's just like the latest Ukrainian community in Lviv that we were supposed to visit 6 weeks ago, and Aaron due to go there anytime soon. But sadly, both of these visits will have been postponed. Why do I tell you this? What's its relevance? Maybe I tell you a positive story about Uman, having mentioned the massacre. Maybe it's to introduce a famous saying of the Uman rabbi, Nachman of Bratslav. Not out of place, as we seek to keep optimistic in these confusing times, not sure of where we are in the pandemic or what we'll be allowed to do or where it's all going. You probably remember his saying and his song, Kol ha'olam kolo, geshet sama od, v'ha'ikar lo lefached vo. All the world is like a narrow bridge. The important thing is not to be afraid. Maybe it was to remind us where prejudices, why prejudging a situation can lead. In our case, no harm was done, and we got a pleasant surprise to see the enthusiasm of this Jewish group. But having escaped reality for a while, let me take you back to the real world, the world that still hasn't learned, that Black lives matter. Rabbi Charles Middleburg reminded me that in 1963, Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel gave a speech entitled Race and Religion at a conference in Chicago. There he met and became a close friend of Dr. Martin Luther King. And Heschel went on to march with King at the famous march in 1965 in Selma, Alabama. Let me leave you with two extracts from Heschel's speech. They seem so relevant at this very moment and remind us so little has sadly really changed in America, or in fact in this country. Heschel said, and I quote, "The way we act, the way we fail to act, is a disgrace which must not go on forever. This is not a white man's world. This is not a colored man's world. It is God's world. No man has a place in this world who tries to keep another man in his place." And a second quote, "Few of us seem to realize how insidious, how radical, how universal and evil is racism. Few of us realize that racism is man's gravest threat to man, the maximum of hatred for a minimum of reason, the maximum of cruelty for a minimum of thinking." The world of safety and sanity is a very narrow bridge. Let's hope that reason prevails before too many people fall off, before too many damage is caused. Let us hope that reason can replace racism and inequality, that hatred be replaced by love and understanding. Amen.
העולם כולו גשר צמאות, גשר צמאות, גשר צמאות, כל העולם כולו גשר צמאות, גשר צמאות. בחייקה, בחייקה, לא לפחד, לא לפחד לה. בחייקה, בחייקה, לא לפחד לה. כל העולם כולו גשר צמאות, גשר צמאות, גשר צמאות. כל העולם כולו גשר צמאות, גשר צמאות. בחייקה, בחייקה, לא לפחד, לא לפחד לה. בחייקה, בחייקה, לא לפחד לה.
Gesher Tzameon, Gesher Tzameon.
As we turn now to our concluding prayers, if there are names of individuals that you would like mentioned for Yardside that are not probably on our community's Yardside list, and if you do post them in the comments, we hope they'll get to us in time before the Kaddish, and if not, then at least they'll be shared with the community by being in our stream. But do feel free to share the names of those whom you are remembering this week. Before that, let us continue together. Baruch Adonai Leolam.
Amen va'amen.
Baruch Adonai Elohim Elohei Yisrael, Oseh niflaot levado. Ubaruch Shem kevodo leolam, Yimelech kevodo et kol haaretz. Amen va'amen. The eternal God shall rule over all the earth. On that day the eternal God shall be one and known to be one. May your love, O God, rest upon us, as we rest our hope in you. All the nations that you have made shall come and bow down before you and honor your name. Let God be praised by day.
Let God be praised by night. Let God be praised when we lie down. Let God be praised when we rise up.
Avinu Shabashamayim. O God in heaven, let your unity be acknowledged and your sovereignty established forever. Reign over us now and always.
Adonai, Melech, Adonai, Malach, Adonai, Imloch leolam vaed.
Growing good of the world is partly dependent on unhistoric acts, and that things are not so ill with you and me as they might have been is half owing to the number who lived faithfully a hidden life and rest in unvisited tombs.
Even when they are gone, the departed are with us. They inspire us to live as in their higher moments they themselves thought to live. We remember them now. They remain in our hearts. They are a continual blessing.
We remember Albert Simons, the father of Adele Larkin and grandfather to Emily and Isabel. Andrew Grossman, the brother of Nigel. Henry Walker, the friend of Fiona Holding. Albert Frankel, the uncle of Sandra Lawson. Betty Kettner, the mother of Carol Woodcock and mother-in-law of Michael. Eileen de Grasser, mother of Susan Morris. Estelle Asserson, the mother of Ros Austin. Gerald Grossman, the father of Nigel. Harold Vanner, the father of Howard. Heinz Kettner, the father of Carol Woodcock and father-in-law of Michael. Isaac Joseph Plain, the father of Helene, husband of Gita and grandfather of Holly and Ross Bell. Kathleen Coates, grandmother of Deborah Boffey and mother of Pat Berman. Lillian Carson, the mother of Philip and grandmother of Justin Latter. Lily Windsor, the mother of Marion Dow. Michael John Sidney Bain, the uncle of Robert and brother of Derek. Valerie Lee, the mother of Mark. And we're saddened to announce this week the deaths of Russell Lincoln, son of our member Francis and brother of Paul, and Julius Badyan, the father of Alice Crabb. Together we recite Kaddish for them and for all those who we remember. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, B'alma divra hirotei v'yamlich malchutei, V'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, Ba'agalau v'zman kariv v'imru, Amen. Yehei shemei Rabbah mevarach le'olam u'lalmei almaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'a v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, V'yitada v'tale v'talal shemei d'kudesha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbachata v'nechemata. Da'amiran ba'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya. V'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael. V'imru. Amen. Osei shalom b'mromav. Hu yaseh shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael. V'al kol b'nei Adam. V'imru. Amen. May the Most High Source of perfect peace grant peace to us, to all Israel, to all peoples, and to all those who mourn. And let us say, Amen. This is somewhat of a quiet weekend within our community. Although for Rabbi Leah, myself, this has been an immensely busy week. We have kicked off a doubling of our Hebrew courses this week and had well over 50 people joining us studying Hebrew this week, and our Parashat HaShavua group this morning was burgeoning. It's so wonderful to welcome people from so many different places from around the world. Please do come and check us out and enjoy us. And also, if you would like to help us in making sure that we're able to maintain the quality and quantity of the services that we provide, you might like to go on our website and look at npls.org.uk/Aviva, which, Rabbi Leah, can you tell us a little bit more about this?
So we have the Aviva Community Fund allows Aviva employees to support community projects, but these projects work as a crowdfunder campaign. So in this week that we now just started, it's up to us to get as much support for our project, which is to help equip the sanctuary with the necessary cameras so that hopefully in future we can go back to being a hybrid space of physical and virtual presence. At the moment, it's only the four of us in here, and our camera setup wouldn't quite allow for a congregation to be able to participate. So we're trying to raise some money for that. Any small donation counts. If you can give £5 or £10 or whatever you can give, that would be much appreciated. And then hopefully next week, when Aviva employees get to vote for the projects that they want to give money to, then we'll hopefully get lots of money from Aviva as well. So please do consider npls.org/Aviva, just making a small donation.
And it's not just about us, it's about everybody as well, because we love it when our members nominate the charities that mean most to them. And we asked you to send in your nominations to Nicole Hershon, our Honorary Secretary, for our High Holy Day, our Yom Kippur appeal. The closing date was, I think, today, but we'll extend it for a few days for you. So please think about the charity that you would want to nominate for us all to be able to get behind over the High Holy Days, which is still a long way away, don't worry about that. But now is the time to put in your nomination. This has been a busy week, and it's been an immensely sad week in so many ways for our world. And yet this service has brought together both my sister Ruth in her singing and also welcoming back into the sanctuary Miffy. Miffy has beautified that music within our sanctuary for a good number of years now, and it's amazing to be able to welcome her back here. So let us end with joy, a joy that we hope will go through this Shabbat and will resonate around the world, bringing just a little bit more joy and peace.
Yom Zel Yisrael, Ora v'simcha, Ora v'simcha, Shabbat menucha. Yom Zel Yisrael, Ora v'simcha, Shabbat menucha. Shabbat menucha. Tzivita pikudim b'ma'at Sinai, Shabbat u'moadim lishmo b'chol shanai, la'aroch lefanai ma'aseh ve'arucha, Shabbat menucha, menucha.
Shabbat Menucha, Yom Zeh. Yom Zeh Yisrael, Ora v'simcha, Shabbat Menucha. Yom Zeh Yisrael, Ora v'simcha, Shabbat
Menucha, Menucha. Shabbat Menucha.
Chemdat halvavot liuma shagur, limfashot nechavot neshama yetera, menefesh metzera, yasir vanacha. Shabbat Menucha, Menucha. Shabbat Menucha. Yom Zeh Yisrael, Ora v'simcha, Ora v'simcha, Shabbat Menucha. Yom Zeh Yisrael, Ora v'simcha, Shabbat Menucha, Menucha. Shabbat Menucha. Kirashta berachta oto mikol yam, B'shishet kelita melechet olamim, Bo matzu akumim hashketu bitcha. Shabbat Menucha, Menucha. Shabbat Menucha, Yom Zeh. Yom Zeh Yisrael, Ora v'simcha, Ora v'simcha, Shabbat Menucha. Yom Zeh Yisrael, Ora v'simcha, Shabbat Menucha, Menucha. Shabbat Menucha. Adonai Oz le'amo yitain. Eternal God, grant strength to your people. Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom. Eternal God, bless your people and all peoples with peace. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Do join us in a moment. We're just going to go briefly offline, and then if you wish to join us in our Kiddush Zoom room, we'd love to see your faces, or you can just stay online wherever you are, and we'll come back live from Zoom to you. So in the meantime, Shabbat